Hey guys, it's Tanner with Built Not Bought, and today is February 13th, the night before Valentine's Day, and I have yet to have gotten my lovely wife a gift yet. So I'm a little bit in procrastination mode, but I like to think I do my best work when I'm on the heater like that. So to avoid getting thrown in the doghouse, I scrounged together a beautiful piece of maple, walnut, white oak, and then I believe that this is just a pine dowel. All scraps I had laying around the shop. Let's see what I can come up with and hope that I can impress her. So off camera, I just jointed the edge of all of these beautiful boards, and I think that these three colors all just look nice together. And my plan is to make a couple different flowers, hopefully three, but we'll probably start with one. So I've got all these nice and jointed and flat. Now I'm going to take them over to my bench, and I'm going to set my hand plane on a really aggressive cut and start just carving out really thick shavings. So I've got my two favorite hand planes over here. This is a Stanley low angle Sweetheart plane. This is a new plane that I've only had for a short period. And this is an old school Stanley Bailey number 4. My old tried and true. I love this thing, I use it all the time. But I'm going to start with my low angle plane because I'm taking super aggressive cuts, and this is just a little bit bigger, heavier, and I've had better luck with shavings. So this is far more aggressive than I have ever taken shavings before, and I know that this is going to be some hard work just cutting through all this, so I'm gonna get right at it here. I feel like this is the universe punishing me for procrastinating. Maple's giving me a run for my money. Hopefully these other two go better. Oh, way better. That's exactly what I want, like really thick, hearty shavings. One might say thick with 2 C's. So I'm a little bit out of breath and I worked up a little bit of a sweat here. Here's what I was going for. You can see the third part of this snapped off and went flying that way, but I think it'll be perfectly fine. My plan was to make really narrow sections where the flowers are going to be attached. So I had like a narrow spot here that got fatter on the end with the idea that I was going to cut it here and have a fat end to a narrow end to a fat end, cut it here, fat to narrow. So I'll have 3 flower stems. And I made these similar to the width of like an actual rose stem. This one's a little bit wider, but in that realm. I might fine tune the fat part just a little bit more because this is a little bit too thick for what I would like it to be. But we're getting closer. I should mention you could completely skip this part, or you could just find a stinking dowel that's more narrow, which now that I think of it, I probably should have just went to town and bought one, but I had these laying around and we can't be wasteful, right folks? Okay, I've got my maple shavings here. I tried to grab the thickest ones. If they're too thin, I just think the flower is gonna be too dainty. It's not gonna hold itself up and they'll just flake and crumble. So I'm gonna start with my absolute thickest ones and start cutting them out in hopes that I can create a whole flower using only the thick ones and not have to resort to some of those thinner ones. So I'm just gonna make kind of elongated petal shapes. So here's like a basic petal shape. And I'm gonna try to get rid of any straight edges. So right now the top and bottom are straight and we have these points here. I'm gonna make everything rounded and natural looking, because there's really no straight lines in nature. Everyone is probably going to be a little bit different, but I'm just going to cut dozens of these, and eventually we'll get to the point where we start building the flower. I'm just going to give this a try. I ran out of CA glue. I wish I had some. This is my wife's nail glue. So we're gonna try this. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to make a late night run to the Dollar General because Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Does not seem to be doing what I hoped it's gonna do. So we're gonna come up with a plan B. Well, the glue didn't work. I don't know. That stuff's been in the drawer for a long time. Maybe it expires. So I went on a covert op and got this high-tech glue gun and made some BS story about what I needed it for out here. And my wife knows me better than I know myself, so she knows that I'm up to something. She doesn't know what. Hopefully we can surprise her still. Hopefully this works. I'm gonna put a little glob on. Probably way more than I needed, definitely way more than I needed. And I'm going to just smush the front edge of this. I'm trying to glue from about the halfway point of the petal down and not so much the top half, because I want it to be tight around the bottom and then the top to kind of open up just like a flower would, if that makes sense. So we'll see if this works, guys. Right now, I'm sweating a little bit. I'm just gonna keep telling myself some BS about how in nature nothing's perfect anyways, right? Over the next 4 hours, I proceeded to burn off every one of my fingerprints, all in the name of love. But we made progress on this sucker. So I used up the last of my thicker shavings. These I just don't think are gonna cut it, so I'm gonna try and make a few more. I should have been keeping track of how many total petals are gonna be on this. I think it looks really cool. The next plan, make some more shavings. Make them a little bit longer, the petals, not so narrow, so I can kind of fill out this bottom section a little bit better, and make it less like a cone and maybe like a little bit more rounded. But I don't know how well that's gonna work, so we're gonna try that and go from there. Does not smell like a flower. All right, I've been working on this for a long time. Oh, my back is getting kind of tired, but that's what you get when you wait till the last minute to buy Valentine's presents. I'm happy with this. I think it looks cool. Is it an exact replica of what a rose looks like? Not really, but especially from the top down, it looks so cool on the inside. And you know, you put a vase in here, so you only see the tops and just a little bit of the side. And the side doesn't really look that bad. I just don't like how cone shaped it is. I would prefer it to be more like full on the bottom. So I might tweak a few things on the next flower, but 1 down and 2 to go. All right, guys, it's late. Probably a little after 10 o'clock. I don't really know, to be honest, but it's late. It's the eve of Valentine's Day. I got them finished up. There's a little bit of glue cleanup I'll have to do, this stringy stuff that you always have to deal with when you're working with hot glue. But they're finished. I think they look great. The white oak one, I would not recommend. That was kind of a disaster. And that's just because white oak, the way the grain is on it, as I was cutting it, it just started like flaking apart so easily. I had to use like 3 times the amount of glue, but it turned out okay. It was worth the effort because I liked 3 different colors. I was also wondering how I should present them to her, and in the shop here I had this beef jerky container, so I think I'll use that as the vase, and we'll see if she likes them. if I can do this, you can do this. They're not perfect, but I'm not an artist, so it is what it is.